Hi everyone, Alex here. Today we're going to finish with RTU for James. This is a series that we started a couple of weeks ago. So there are a couple of videos that I created for a client of mine on how to create an RTU using Revit. In part 1, we focus on defining the reference planes to create the skeleton of the geometry of the RTU and also the location of the connectors. Now in part 2, we're going to create the actual connectors for supply, return, and for gas, and for condensate. But before doing that, we need to create extrusions so we can host the connector to the face of that extrusion. So we're going to do that for both, for ductwork and also for piping. See you in Revit. Back to the reference level. I know that my gas is going to be around here. And if you had the time and you really want to work with this family for a long time, you want to label over your planes, you want to make sure you're dimensioning from strong to weak all the time. But this is just a quick exercise so for you to get the feeling on how to create families in case your rep is not able to provide you with one, okay? Or in case you're uncomfortable with something they're doing or you want to do a quick change in a rush, okay? So let's do that. Let's create now our extrusion for the gas, but this time instead of being a rectangle, it's going to be a circle, right? So for my extrusion, I go create, extrusion. This is going to be a circle. And I like to place that circle somewhere else other than where I want it. And then what I do is I click on it. I make the center mark visible, and then I make sure I align from here to here and lock it, and from here to here and lock it. And now we need to dimension this, but this is not a standard dimension, right? This has to be a diameter dimension. So there's my dimension, and then I can associate a parameter to that, and I can call it net gas inlet. And click OK. We can keep it 1.5 for now, but you can change it any time. You can come here and then change the natural gas inlet to 1.25, 1 inch, or whatever you want it to be. And then if you want to create different types, you would want to duplicate that and assign the correct values to each one of these fields. For now, that's pretty good. Now let's hit OK, and let's see how it looks, because remember, we're extruding -1 inch. So let's see. And it's not bad at all. Here it is. We could make it a little bit shorter if we wanted to, but that's fine. I think I'm going to keep it 1 inch. And now finally, we're going to do our drain. For that, we cannot go to our reference plane because that's not where our drain is located. That's actually where this drain is located. And I forgot that I don't want the bottom drain. I want the front drain. So let's remember, we don't want to locate that connector in this reference level. We want to show it in the front view. So if we go to our front view, thankfully, we do have the correct vertical plane here at the correct distance, which is 27 5/16. But this 5 inches that I had here don't really live here. So let's just delete this. Let's make sure we name this because it's going to be confusing. And I'm going to call this drain offset. So when I come to the front view, I have a bunch of different planes here. So this is the left plane. Then this one is unnamed. This one's unnamed. So you see why we want to name our planes, right? This one's also unnamed. But this one I did name, and this is the drain offset. So that's good. This plane is correctly located. How do I know that? Well, if I measure from here to here, I have my 27 5/16, right? Why? Because this is the same plane I was looking at in this view. As a matter of fact, you could click on it in the top view and then go to the front view, and it's going to remain highlighted. Okay, so this distance is good. And now we want a distance from here to a new reference plane that is going to be 5 inches. So I'm going to do create similar. And I want to place it somewhere around here. And then I'm going to dimension from strong to weak. And I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make that 5 inches. So this is the location of our extrusion. So let's go create extrusion. It's going to be a circle. Again, I place it somewhere else. Then I click on it, make sure I make this visible so I see the center line. And I do a line from here to here and lock it, and from here to here and lock it. Now I need to dimension it. It has to be a diameter dimension. Oop. Now I click on that dimension, and I can make a new parameter that's going to be drain size. Then I can make that drain size whatever it's supposed to be. And then for the extrusion end, in this case, I do want it to be a positive value, right? Because if not, it would be going inside of the box. So I'm going to do 1 inch. And then OK. Now I go to the view, and then on my 3D view, I don't see my extrusion. So what could have happened? Why don't I see it? Well, if I come here and I go to wireframe, I can see that my extrusion is there, but it's unfortunately in the wrong plane, because when I did the extrusion, I was in the incorrect plane. So let's see if we can modify that. So I can go to edit work plane, and then you see the reference plane that I was using was the center front back, which is this one. And the one I really wanted to use was this one here, which is the front. So here it is, front. I can click OK. And now I have it in the correct location. So let's go back to shade it. And now it's looking a lot better, right? So we have our location for the drainage, we have our location for the gas, we have our location for the supply, and our location for the return. Let's go ahead and create now our connectors. So for that, I'm going to go create duct connector. I'm going to click here, and I have the width and the height here, but those are width and height that are a little bit generic. So what you want to do is click on your connector, and then to the height, you want to associate the parameter. Which one was this one? This one was the return, right? So we want to associate return height. So return duct height. Boom, that's looking really good. And now we go to the width, we click there, we associate to return duct width, and click OK. Now it's looking excellent, right? That's exactly what we want. Actually, I think I would look, now I see it even better, right? So that's working perfectly. Now let's do the same thing for the supply. So, oh, important. So you click here, you need to make sure that this is not supply air, this is return air. And the flow direction is in, because the flow is going into the unit as a return, right? Now let's do the supply. So we go create, duct connector, we click on the face, now we click on the connector, and we want to associate to the height, the parameter, supply duct height, okay. And then to the width, we associate the supply duct width, we click OK. Now what type of system is this? Well, it's supply air, that's good. As far as direction, this is going out of the family. Now our next step is the gas. I think I'm going to change it back to shaded. I like it better like that. So I want to select this face here. So create pipe connector. I select this face. Now I click here. I want to associate this diameter to what? My natural gas inlet. It should say inlet size actually. We can change it later if we want to, but this is the parameter. There you go. Boom. So we want to click here. The flow direction is going to be in, because we're going to have the gas coming in. And then as far as the system classification, you could do other or global. In our case, we're going to do hydronic supply because we're doing that little trick that I show you. And then finally, we go to our drain and we go create pipe connector. We select our face. We associate to our diameter, which is drain size. Click OK. The flow direction is out. And the system classification, some people use sanitary. In our case, we're going to use hydronic return for the same reason I told you before. And now we should be good to go. Obviously, this family is a lot more complex like we saw at the beginning, but this is good enough for our practice. So I'm going to go save as. It's going to be a family. And we're going to save it under RTUs, temporary test, and it's going to be RTU1 test. So we should be good for tomorrow.